Welcome to another video. This video is about one of the reasons why it's hard to meditate for most people. I've often been confronted with people who say, well, I don't know what you do when you meditate because I can't meditate. Well, I've had the same issue. You probably had the same issue. That it seems to be really difficult to do nothing. So it's kind of funny, but real meditation is actually the absence of doing. So the absence of thinking, the absence of becoming, the absence of menting, you could say, right? Mentating. So the mental process comes to a rest and you just stay in the now. You just breathe, you're just here. You're not working something out. You're not thinking about the past. You're not projecting about the future. You're just here. Why is it so hard for most people? And one of the reasons is that if you look at existence is really the lower end of the manifestation. So I'll take this other example here of the system. The system that we are living in is basically what you could call manifestation. And manifestation works the way that everything that comes out of the absolute then becomes denser into manifestation. So, I'll just take this one here a little bit to propose, I guess. Here, you could see that this is kind of like, existence is like a toroidal field. Most of you know the toroidal field. It's like this donut shape that is turning in on itself and then comes back around. Well, manifestation is this inward part where it's coming out and becoming something. And so you could say that our attention is going from the absolute, the quantum field, the source, the unmanifested creational basis, God, the fundamental state of the universe, the quantum potential before it becomes anything, is up. I call it up. Of course, it's not locational when it comes to this kind of place we're here, where it's up and down, right and left, but up meaning a deeper level of being. And this state of being is the unmanifested. And from that unmanifested, the source comes down and steps, as it were, down into lower levels of manifestation. So first it's the unmanifested, and then it goes duality, multiplicity, unity, duality, multiplicity, and it comes down. So when you're looking with or at existence, at the manifestation, when you're going with it, when you're doing things, when you're creating, when you're busy with your work, when you're with your daily life, people that watch Netflix or whatever, they watch some movies and they binge watch entire series, it seems really easy just to keep going with the flow. As it were, you're looking down into existence, and this is the outward looking. So you're looking out, and it's with the flow. You can see the directional, really is force, you could say, but the power stepping down into force, the absolute is stepping down into the relative, and as it steps down, you're looking with it. It's just going and keep going. You're going with the flow. But when you're looking in, when you want to look back at the source, when you want to look back into the source, you have to look the other way, which is this arrow here, looking back up. But as you look up into the source, into the original state of being, looking back into nothing, when you're meditating, when you're resting, when you're quantum resting, when you're going back to the quantum source of pure potentiality, you look back up, you quiet the mind, you're not becoming, you're not manifesting, you're not busy, you're not doing, you're not becoming, you're unbecoming, as it were. And when the unbecoming it looks up. So why is it so hard? Well, it's so hard because everything is coming down. It's like a salmon that has to swim up the stream, and you see the salmon has to work its way up into, miraculously, through even some of these rivers and waterfalls, and somehow they manage to flow, swim, or with some kind of dynamic that's even not understandable even, up the river, you know? And this dynamic brings them back to the source, where, of course, like the salmon, they spawn because they're back at the original, where everything starts again, right? So the salmon goes all the way up. So if you want to go all the way up to source, return, right? Jacob's ladder, Jack and the Beanstalk, the stairway to heaven, the ascension, whatever you want to call it. It means you gotta go back up, but going up is not easy. In fact, it's much easier to keep going down. And this is something most people find. I mean, you can get lost for hours in things that you're like, whoa, I just spent several hours doing a bunch of things that's looking outward with existence, when even meditating for 5 minutes was difficult. And this is why there's so much difficulty. Because when you're looking in, you'd be doing this. So you got this field, right? You got this field. I can make it even bigger. Oh, that thing is moving somewhere. Okay. So when you're looking at it like this, when you're looking at it like this, it's a completely different story. Now your attention is going in. So as the system itself is vortexing, right? This toroidal vortex is vortexing, like coming out, but you got to look up, look inward, look up towards the source of consciousness itself, towards God. So this is really what the Father and I are one. When I want to unite with the Father, my attention, the I am that I am, has to be looking up and inward, away from the form, away from all the thoughts, away from all the creatures, as Meister Eckhart used to call it in his writings. I had some videos about Meister Eckhart, because stillness is the way in. Right? Stillness is the way in, because as you still your mind, as we still our minds, you go quiet and you start looking up, and everything starts coming at you, because this system is coming down, right? This is all streaming down. And so you're looking at this system, you're looking up at God, you're looking up at nothing, you're looking up into the source, and everything is coming down at you. And so you have to be quiet. You have to let the thoughts pass, not get identified with it. Don't be identified with the historicity of your life, with past, with the projection of future, with all the things that are going on, with all the political stories, with all the macro level things that are going out on the world, because that's the distraction. And they, whoever they are, when we talk about these generalizations of they know that looking out is easy, so you keep pushing the buttons. And we keep being distracted by ourself, or their attention. But looking in, you look up, and the onslaught, this water just coming down the river like the salmon, just flowing into existence. It's just, you got to be really still. You got to be like that rock, as they say, right, in the ocean, or rock in the river. The rock that just stays in the middle of the river, and the water has to flow around it. But in this case, you have to move up the stream. And so you have to just be still enough to not be so identified with all the thoughts and all the emotions and all the things coming down, trying to push you with existence to keep becoming. And that's basically this kind of system, where you're looking at what we're looking at here, which is a system in which we have to be able to be still enough. Let me see if that probably would fit still. Where we have to be still enough to not always be going with the flow outward. And this is why you see that even the most intelligent people, people at least that they call them intelligent, right? So we look at people that they say, well, this guy, Elon Musk or whoever, right? They're always talking about these super intelligent people. They think the guy from Apple as well. They always, he's my hero and all that stuff. But those people, most of them cannot be still for just a minute, and I'm not assuming that maybe they can or cannot, but most very, very intelligent people that are called scientists and big minds, you sit them down for just 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They can't be still, because they can keep thinking, they can keep writing books, they can keep telling everybody what and how it works and how everything has to be done. But the looking in is difficult. And I put myself on that as well, because it is hard. If you're not in a calm state where your circumstances in life are quite okay, then looking in, sitting down and doing absolutely nothing is very hard for some people, and most people. And most people can't even fall asleep easily, because they just keep thinking about all these things that are going on in their life. So you would put some of the most intelligent people in the world on a chair and say, okay, I want you to do nothing for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or an hour. They can't do it. And they can't do it because this onslaught is trying to force them to go with the flow down the river, more manifestation, to keep focusing at that, which is easy. The hard part is to turn around and say, okay, I'm not getting distracted by any of this downcoming flow of manifestation from the source up, down into all the lower levels. It's basically quantum field is the absolute nothing, or you could say the everything, but without any specifications. So when the source comes down into existence, you would say that this system, there is nothing but pure potential coming down into something, and then it goes boom, 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 boom. And that's physicality all the way at the bottom, where we're like here. And that's woof, the stream coming down. And just like the camera that's filming from that side and the projector that's shining the light from that side, you can see here, it goes onto my hand. The projector that is touching on this screen is going through. So when it comes from the source, you don't see it, especially not with normal light, you can see it. But like the sunlight and the projector and these kinds of things. But real light, you don't see it until it hits something, right? Exactly like that. I mean, it's almost exactly like that. You could see you could not see the sunlight until it hits an object, right? We know that even from a scientific perspective. So you can look back at the source, and in this case on Earth, you would see the sunlight, it would burn your eyes. But when it comes to source, the absolute source of the consciousness that we are, where we come from, you don't see anything because it's coming down. It's not until it hits something. So you have to turn around and look downstream, and like on the screen, you can see it hit it. Here on the back, you can see it as well. Here on my hand, you can see it as well, right? Because it's coming from there. So to be able to look at where it's coming from towards the source, you'd have to be so still, because it seems you're doing nothing. It's like, why is doing nothing so hard? Well, I'm looking into nothing, and everything is pushing against me to become identified with something. So if I want to look at nothing, because anything I look at, I become. Anything I put my attention on, I become. What I acknowledge, I get. So when I am able to stay for a few minutes or a few hours a day, whatever you can do, if I am able to stay in the state where I'm looking at nothing, at source, more and more I am divesting myself from the manifestational formality of things and the identification with all of that. And I'm more and more becoming quieter and quieter as those things can pass me by without me being moved by them. You know, this is like it's called staying power. The power of stillness is also a form of staying power, the ability to not be moved by it. And as I look into nothing and become more comfortable with nothing, but that nothing is the everything from which the everything down here in form comes. So it's kind of a word twist here, but it's the absolute consciousness, the source consciousness of the quantum field is the everything unmanifested. It hasn't taken shape yet. That's why it's pure potential. But it is the everything. To us, it seems like nothing because it is not made yet into anything. But that doesn't matter because it is the pure potential of everything. So to go back to that source, like the salmon swimming up the stream, I have to be able to not identify with the particulars that are coming down the stream. All of the thoughts, emotions, identifications with form, with all the boop, 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 boop steps. The first one, the source, is not even a boop. It's the original. Right, before sound, before anything came down. But once it starts going to duality and multiplicity and to take more dense and dense shape, it's easy to identify with that. So to unidentify or disidentify with it, I have to be still enough to look up and stay looking at nothing. Be comfortable without being anything that is known in the informational sense, in the physical sense. Just to be calm within nothingness. To be fine with the silence and the stillness and the quiet of the pure presence of being. And you can anchor yourself through breathing, through the well-being of the body, and just look into nothing, into the blackness. When you close your eyes, it's just nothing. And I look up, down. I look up, not down. And I keep looking at nothing. And as I divest myself from the identifications, I look into the source and I become one with the source. And that's real meditation. And that's why it's so difficult to meditate, because it's an onslaught. It's way easier to go with everything. And you can pass lives, as they say, right? But even if you take one life, most people spend their entire life identifying with form, chasing all kinds of things, wealth and fame and all the things that they want, because it's so easy to go with the stream. And then get all these things and then die, and then you don't know what you truly are in the source, which is fine. Most people aren't looking for it. But for those of you who are looking for the source, this is an explanation of understanding why meditation is hard and why it's so important that despite it being hard, what you're actually doing. It's like, because most people say, well, you've been sitting on a pillow, you're doing nothing. That's what most scientific people and intellectuals would say. Well, he's just sitting on a pillow, looking into his navel, staring out into the cosmos, ha 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 ha. Well, Mr. Genius who reads all the books, who writes all the books, who gives all the lectures, who gone all over the world and who got all the fame and the professor and the titles and the PhDs, give it a try. 5 minutes, 10 minutes each day, we'll try an hour. Can you be nothing? Is it so ha 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 funny? Because it's actually quite difficult. And but for those who are looking to look back, for actually going back, this explanation hopefully helps to look into the stream and gives you more of staying power to understand that it's not nothing. It's actually something very complicated, or at least it's very simple, but it's not easy. It's easy, but it's not simple. It's hard, but easy at the same time, you could say. But it's the journey back to source is to be able to be as divested of particulars as the source itself, so that one can rest in the original silence, the original wholeness, the original unformed, the true, unmanifested, deep source of consciousness, who is everything without having taken any form or particularities yet. And to be able to do that, I must rest with the Father in the source. And before that, you have to face everything that is coming to keep you out of that. Because it's not, the gates of heaven, so as to speak, are not open to anyone who is still fully identified with the particulars of the formality of the lower realms. So the gate is open, but the stream is coming down, and so one-pointedness, look up into nothing, stay there, and you'll feel the benefits and you'll feel the unity, but it isn't always easy. All right, I hope that helps, and hope to see you in another video. Take care.